Welcome to our very second episode. My name is YoYo. I'm your host of Unfinished Lifestyle, and we have our co-host today, Desi.
Hey.
Coach Desi. And we have our special guest, Heidi Harrington. How are you?
Hello. Good.
Are you excited to be here? Are you nervous?
Yeah, Tad. I don't know why I had to bring that up. I said, don't bring that up. That's what you do.
So we want to talk about your journey with us. We want to talk about, what it's like to be where you were before. And I remember our first conversation, right, in my office back in 2019.
Yeah.
Right? So you've been with us since then. August 2019. I remember that. I actually remember she actually DM'd me.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. So backstory.
Yeah.
So I was at a restaurant. I was eating sushi, and then her sister Holly, which is also with us, by the way, and was eating, with her friends right behind me. I remember, and this is me just started. It was like my first full year actually coaching, and I'm like, hey Holly, hi Brittany, and I said, here's my card, here's what I do, and then they're like, you calling us fat, yo? I'm like, no. It's probably bad timing, but here's what I do for a living. Just let you guys know if you guys, have any friends and family. And then fast forward a couple months later, I think I remember you DM me.
Yeah.
And then you said something along the line like, hey, I'm interested in starting your program. Let's chat. And then we had a consultation, and you actually brought Holly in with you. Mm-hmm. So you want to talk about that moment?
Yeah, so Holly gave me that card because I think she saw you back in, I want to say June, because it had been a couple months.
Yeah.
And then we were going on a family trip in July.
That's right.
And we were driving, and she's like, hey, told me the whole story. She's like, I have a card for you, you can reach out to him. And at that point in my body, any kind of remark on my body, I'm like, no. Even if it's something to help me, I was like, I don't want people to notice me. I don't want anything. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll reach out to him. And she's like, no, actually do. I'm like, okay, I will. And that was the beginning of July. And then fast forward to August, I was getting ready for my friend's baby shower that I was helping throw. And I was getting ready, and I just started bawling. Because I'm like, I hate myself. I hated everything about it. I don't want to go to this. I'm like, you just have to go for a little bit, and then you'll be fine. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just give it a shot. I'll message you. Not going to lie, at first, I was like, oh, this is who Holly wants me to message. I was like, this man is going to make fun of me. Not in a mean way, but you have your stereotypical people at the gym that are super built, and some of them are assholes. It just comes with, I was like, I am a big girl. I'm not doing this. Mm-hmm. But I did. And I asked her, I was like, do you want to come with me? Because also at the time, there's just what's the word I'm looking for? When it comes to trainers, you have your good trainers like you and Des who actually care about their clients, where you have other ones that are just in it for the money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I want to bring Holly because she has good intel about this kind of stuff. Oh, is it really a scam? Is it not? So I was like, okay, I'll bring her. I'm and plus she knew you. So I was like, you can't make fun of me if she's with somebody. And I don't mean this mean, but it was coming from insecurities from my past. It was just me being real.
Yeah. And
I was it was wrong of me because that's me judging a book by its cover, that everybody did to me too. So it wasn't good. But I those are reasons I brought Holly with me, and then we sat down with you, and it changed everything.
It changed your life.
Yeah.
And can you remind people, or remind me actually, what did you weigh when you first came in?
Oh, I knew you were gonna ask me this, and I've been dreading it because it's one of the things I'm not the most proud about, and only I think 7 people know, for being honest, but I started at 330.
330, yeah. And I think I remember you came in, it was, on my scale, I think it was 320.
Yes.
And you had lost about 10 pounds before you came in. And I remember you came in, and she mentioned this later on, I'm talking 6 months later, where she was like, I barely fit in that chair that you had in the office.
The gray ones in the office.
Wow.
It's the same one.
Those ones, I was squeezing out of them. And now I can fit in them comfortably. Yeah. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, the chair. You can fit in that chair. It's the same one that we have in the office right now. I remember she came in and Holly came in, and they both ended up signing up.
Yeah, Holly wasn't going to originally. She just came in for kind of moral support. Mm-hmm. But then Johan made her stand on the scale. And that's Holly's story. So I'll let her. I'm not going to bring her story into it. But she wasn't originally going to sign up.
No, she wasn't.
But she did it for her own reason. So I'm not going to take her story away from her, but.
And then she ended up signing up, and then both of you changed your lives. And what was that conversation about? You couldn't pay for the coaching at the time, and what did you do that you had to sacrifice? And you said to me after the consultation, okay, I'm going to think about it. And then you texted me back, and you said you couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. And then I asked you, well, what can I do to make it work? And we made it work for the pricing,
we did.
Right? At the time, most of you guys know that I started monthlies and then worked my way up to upfront and stuff like that. But what was the sacrifice that you had to make?
Well, before we get into that, I wanted to point out is that's one of the things that sold me on your program that made me feel like it was legit and that you actually cared. Because most people are like, okay, you can't afford it. See ya. Like, call me when you can, fatty. But like, you were like, I don't mean to mean, but people were like, you can't afford it. See you later. Like, I'm not going to be flexible. But you were in it for like the actual, you wanted to help us. Yeah. Like, granted, yes, you wanted the money to like, it's a job, but like you literally wanted to help. And that's what I got from that. I was like, oh, I was like, you're joking. Like, this is awesome. I had fake hair at the time, extensions, if you will. And
those are expensive. I don't know how much they are. How much is it?
For my move up, it was about $280 every 6 weeks.
$280 every 6 weeks?
Yeah.
That's not even including the hair.
Wait, what?
Oh, the nails.
I don't do nails, but it was just a hair for me.
What?
When you first bought your hair, it's probably about like, they come in bags of hair is what they call them.
Okay.
And I got a bag and a half, which I want to say was like $750.
Yeah.
And then when your hair grows out, you have to move those extensions back up. So each row was like 100.
Gotcha.
And then a half row was like 50. And then I had some other stuff going.
And you have to pay that every 6 weeks?
Every 6 weeks.
Plus like color.
Yes.
And like maintaining it.
And that's not including like shampoo and stuff. And like sometimes I wouldn't want to wash my hair, so I'd go get it like done by other people and stuff.
Wow. So it's a lot of maintenance on top of that already.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
That hair for me was a shield. Like, I was a big girl. Like, nothing's shielding that. Like, I'm not meaning that like rude or anything, but like nothing's really going to shield that. But like in my mind, I'm like, oh, if I fake hair, it's going to distract people from like how big I am.
Well, yeah, and you at least have that like one thing where like, you're like, oh, this gives me confidence.
Exactly, yes.
This makes me feel good.
And I feel proud in it. Like, I feel happy spending this money because like I don't feel so like a shell of a person because like I have something I can look forward to. And so when we started with you, I couldn't do both. And granted, that was hard because I remember I tell everybody, I'm like, I'm going to the grave with extensions in. Like, I'm never taking them out.
That's me. Low key me.
But yeah, and so that was super hard. And then me and Holly started talking. She's like, well, what do you really want? Do you want fake hair forever? Or she's like, or do you want to be happy with yourself? Because before all of this, before I started with you, 2019 was like the lowest point in my life. I was like basically drinking like, honestly, like a bottle of Jack almost every week. Like my sisters, I lived with both of them at the time, and they'd come home and it'd be like a Tuesday and I'd already be drunk. Cause I wasn't happy with more aspects than just like my body, just like everything.
It was a lot.
Yeah. And I remember that's when I reached out to you and I was like, okay, well, if this program doesn't work, see ya. Like I swore 2019 was gonna be like my last year. Cause I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Wow. I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
I remember you saying something along that line, but I didn't
was
know
planning
it was that low.
Yeah. Like, not like to sound like, oh, poor pity me or like this, like to get attention, but like literally that was it. Like, I'm like, if this program doesn't work, then I did all I can.
Yeah.
And so.
So you made a sacrifice.
Yeah. Took my hair out, cried about that. Still get emotional if we're being honest. But it grew.
Yes.
It hella grew.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is all real.
We got a mane.
We have real hair now. Not that anything's wrong with fake hair.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think you were so malnourished in a lot of different areas.
Oh, 100%.
But I think it took about a year to kind of start noticing your hair.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It took about until like the summer of 2020 to actually notice it was like growing. And like when people are like, your hair looks long, I'm like, shut up. I'm like, don't try to flatter me. And I like looked at myself in the mirror one time. I'm like, shit, wait, it is growing.
Oh, damn, who this?
I was like, hold on.
Let's go back to the thought process of when you feel low before you started our program.
Yes.
What was going through your head, really? Like, I want you to share that with everyone, because I know a lot of people are listening right now. Maybe a lot of moms, a lot of girls out there that are listening, a lot of women out there are listening. Maybe they're on that same boat. And what are the advices that you have for these people that are even guys too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts at the time? What was that negative affirmations that you had, and how did you turn around, and what made you made that switch eventually?
I think at that time I was so big. Like, I was trying to shield myself in any ways I could with clothing. And like, even if I got baggier clothing, like, I know it's going to make me look bigger regardless. But I feel like at that point in my mind, I was like, okay, well, I'm too big. Like, how am I going to lose weight? And like, and I feel like there's always that like stereotype that like, oh, like when people like that are bigger and they're trying to lose weight, they're like, oh, I'm trying to lose weight. And they're like, haha, like, okay. Like, I don't know how to put it, but like people kind of like even put you down in a way, because they're like, are you really going to stick with it? Like,
yeah, they like don't take you seriously.
Yes, because you're not in this fit body yet. That they're like, okay, like, we'll see how this goes. And I had a friend, I want to say back in 2017, he told me, he's like, we all have to start somewhere. And that always rang in my mind for like ever. And like, you've said that to me multiple times too. But 2019, it was just rough. Like, I was, like I said, I was drinking so much, and like, I didn't want to exist anymore. I didn't want to exist in my body. I didn't want to exist here. Like, I try to like shrink myself in like situations, like in crowds that like people wouldn't notice me. Because if they did, I was like, okay, the first thing they're going to say is something like an offhanded comment. Yeah. And so I was like, I just don't want anybody noticing at all. And
you didn't take a lot of pictures either.
No, nothing, no full bodies. And if I did, you can notice like I'd hide behind my friends. Not like hide, but like I would have them stand in front of me because it made me look slimmer, even though it was just covering half my body.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really ever take any full pictures. I like, when I started with you, I wore a size 24 in jeans at American Eagle. The biggest size, 26, the biggest size you can go. And right now I'm sitting at 14, size 14. Yeah.
Hey.
So. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so that was crazy. I remember crying in the dressing room when I put on new jeans for the first time. And a lot of people give me crap because I love wearing jeans. Yeah. And they're like, why? They're like, why don't you just wear sweats and stuff? I'm like, because I never got the opportunity to wear jeans comfortably and like not feel big. And so
let's talk about shopping too. Like, I've never been, obviously, I've never been that big, right? And with you being that size before, what is that like? Starting from your childhood to middle school to high school, and what was that like for you?
I was always on like the bigger side. And I felt like that destroyed my self-esteem, like to no end, if we're being honest. Like, I feel like I never really got into makeup because I was big, and I was like, I don't even know how to put it. Like, it's not even like a real thing in real life, but I thought like me being so big, I'm like, I didn't deserve to wear like pretty makeup because I'm like, my self-esteem was so low. Like, I didn't. So like, even to this day, like, I don't wear anything because I'm like, I miss that period of my life that like getting into, and I know you still can, but like throughout like junior high and high school, I never got into that like fun part of like being that kind of a girl because I'm like, I'm too big, like I'm gonna look ridiculous. And so I feel like I struggled a ton in like junior high and high school. I wore a lot more just like kind of like baggy clothes. I wore a ton of flannels. I just love flannels, but like I wore them very oversized to kind of like hide me too. So I feel like junior high and high school was a struggle for sure. And I was always like the biggest friend in the friend group too. And so I feel like nothing towards my friends, like angels, but me myself, I'm like, this is hard.
Yeah.
And like in like junior high and high school, so I'm like, this is kind of hard for me. But like that was just my own self-esteem issues. Because I was like, I was always like, it's like that stereo like type in like all the movies, like the trope of like the fat funny friend that you see like portrayed in different Hollywood movies. And like that was me, I felt like. So I was like, oh, she's a comedian, ha ha ha, but like never like the person that got like the guy or the girl.
Yeah. You are funny.
Oh, so funny.
Trauma.
So funny.
I have a theory of like people that have trauma, they're fucking lame. So like funny. They don't have a lick of humor if you don't have drama.
I remember you sent me a picture of you when you were at Snowbird. and drinking the beer.
Oh no, the zoo. I was at Boo Zoo.
The zoo.
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
Yeah,
And then-
you just drink your life away looking at animals.
People do that? What?
Yeah, you've never heard of that?
And then they're open
Where you at, homie?
21 and older. You just
No.
get drunk and look at
And like these beers are like 12%, $5. I'm like, oh,
Load
like
me
fuck
up.
yeah.
Yeah, dude.
And then she sent me the video, right? It was the funniest thing. She sent the video. She's drinking it. She's chugging it. And at the end of that chug, and she goes, help.
Yeah. But granted, I was big then too. Yeah. I looked like a bowling ball. No, listen, I like have to make jokes now because I couldn't at that time.
Yeah.
And I think like jokes kind of help me like,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
earned. But it's not like me trying to put myself down, if that makes sense. It's like,
you're making like light to the situation.
yes, because at that time, if I were to make that joke or somebody else would, I would literally probably cry on spot. Like,
Yeah, so it's like a way of celebrating yourself in a way.
yes. Because like back then, I like didn't even look like I had a neck or anything. It was wild. And so...
You still have those pictures, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's nice to look back sometimes. Well, it's not nice to look back at it, but it's reminds you where you were before.
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember you showing me the jeans that you had before.
Yeah. When I move this coming weekend, I think I still have them in storage. So I can probably send you that picture. Because I know I kept a pair of jeans from when I first started.
Gotcha.
But that's all in storage right now.
Gotcha.
But why I'm laughing is some people would post like, if I go to parties and stuff, like take pictures of me and they tag me and I'd immediately untag myself. Cause I'm like, how are you going to do me that dirty on social media? Like, you know, I don't look skinny in that. I'm like, but you're going to post that? It was rude.
Yeah.
I think for some people, like they aren't necessarily seeing you for the size that you are. Mm-hmm. They're more so like looking at your soul and the way you see other people too, because that's one of the things that I love about being around you is I feel seen with you. Even though you don't want to feel seen,
I'm gonna cry.
you also help other people like be seen, and you notice the good and the positives, the light in others. And you literally shine. You don't see it, but you really shine.
Stop.
And
Why am I going to cry
you
right
make
now?
it. I love you, but you make you have a very safe energy about yourself, and I think that's because you never felt safe in your own body, and so that's something that you give to others, which is so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I wish you could see yourself in the way that we see you, because 100%. We don't see a size. Well, we see like, I think you're so funny. You're beautiful. Like you're talented. You're strong as fuck. And like your determination when I watch you in the gym, like it motivates me.
Wow.
Dude, she's a beast.
Well, no, it's because, let's say why. Because if I said I can't do one more, Johan would be like, don't say you can't do one more, you're going to do 5 more. And he's not kidding about that. Yeah. So then I stopped saying I can't do it anymore because I knew I would have to do 5 more. And I would have to finish those properly and not like half-ass. So I was like, nope, I'm not saying anything anymore ever again. And it's pushed me. Like that helped push me to be like, I can keep going. Mm-hmm. Thank you for saying that all out, by the way.
Yeah, but back to what Desi was saying. It's the same thing. When I met you, it doesn't match your image at all, right? But people see the image first, and then they judge you right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
But once they get to meet you and get to know you, this right here, when we film it and we're going to post it, and people are going to be like, oh my gosh, Heidi is really awesome to be around. And you're hilarious. You're funny. You and Holly are amazing. And I also coach your mom and your mom and your dad and your stepmom at one point as well. So I coach the entire family, which is amazing to see. And I see the dynamic of how the family works, and it's pretty interesting. And she is hilarious. She's the funny one out of all. Oh my
she
gosh.
Literally cracks me up.
100%. But I love that. What it is. I mean, that was
that means more
that
than
was
you even know.
amazing.
Of course. I was just telling them last week, I'm like, I want to come hang out with you guys and your family.
I'm like, please do. Literally, you're always welcome.
They're hilarious.
Yeah, so
I
funny.
coach your dad. I mean, I was training your dad, Holly, and you at the same time.
It was chaotic.
It's a riot. It's a riot.
I can only imagine.
I mean, they're just laughing my head off. Yeah, I wasn't gonna say the same things. Colton, just pop in. Yeah. Just pop in, and then I'll have you can answer questions or just be with it. We'll let you set up. So let's talk about who you are today versus when you actually first started. And let me elaborate on that first, okay? When you first started, you did not want to take any videos of you training.
I didn't want you posting them.
You do not want me to post any pictures of you, period. And that's okay because some of my clients are like that, right? They're not confident yet, but at the end they're like,
Post all of them.
post all of it, bro.
I got to the end and I was like, will you take videos of me on my phone?
Yeah, I remember that. And mind you, this is Heidi you know now. When I first met her, she wouldn't even be in the spot right
You
here.
couldn't pay me money to be in the spot.
No.
Literally,
She
he'd
would-
be like,
That's so wild to me.
I'll waive your money for the month for training. And I'd be like,
Yeah,
no.
especially because she's so enthusiastic all the time, like constantly talking. Like when she's at the gym, talking friendly, nice to everybody, and then it's like, can we take a video of you? No.
I was like, absolutely not. Because they would also like randomly do it on the weeks that like I looked like hot garbage too. They're like, hey, we're taking a video this week. I'm like, you guys didn't want to give me some heads up. I'm like, my hair is normally like 2 weeks old of like washing. I was telling Desi yesterday,
Yeah.
I washed this last night because it was going on 2 weeks of not being washed.
Damn.
And I was like, he's going to mention my hair, so I have to make it look pretty.
I didn't know that because guys, we shower every day. I shower twice a
Well,
day.
I shower every day too. I just don't wash my hair every
But
day.
Jess doesn't. Jess showered like once every 2 days. And I'm like, bro.
No,
Yeah,
dude,
girls do that
that's
too.
a thing with girls. Like,
I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's something that I've experienced recently too. She wears like her hair up, she washes her hair.
Yeah.
It's just because it's so long, it takes forever.
Yeah,
Well, it takes
Yes.
forever, but then it also dries it out the more you wash it.
Yeah.
it's true.
I used to have like a shower
It's a whole
cap.
routine. Yeah, she'll have a shower cap on.
Yep.
Like most of the time, and when she does wash her hair, her nightly routine's like an hour and a half, and it's washing the hair, conditioning,
That's
taking it
crazy.
out, brushing it. She has like oil that she puts in it.
Yeah,
and
so
stuff
let's
to,
just
like,
say, thank
rehydrate
God
it.
you guys are not girls.
Yeah.
You guys have
a
it
lot of
very easily.
maintenance.
So
It's a lot of maintenance. Yeah. So the difference between when you first started versus now, like you're such a different person.
I remember even just still being shy, like being even at the gym. Because like even at the old gym, everybody was so kind, but everybody was so built too. And I still had that notion. And I know that's wrong to me because that's just me like judging a book by its cover. But in my mind, I was like, oh, this is scary because I was 330 at that time. I'm surrounded by all these people that are like bodybuilders and stuff. But
So
they
you feel like it came with like a physical kind of status where it was like, well, they have like a higher like kind of like social status, like physical status than me. I don't think that we're like in the same group of people to like talk or be friends. Or...
I don't think necessarily that. I think it was more me insecure about how big I was. That like it had to do with more of that. Like I don't think like they were better than me, but I feel like I was more intimidated because of like how built they were, and they're like, granted we all are getting to our goals, but like it's unfinished. So like you
You're
keep
never
progressing,
finished, yeah.
and so, but in my head I was like, I am huge, and these people are just so fit that like I was just intimidated because of my own personal insecurities. But everybody at the old gym, at the new gym, angels, like have just been so kind. But like I remember the first workout we did with you, I was sweating. I could barely keep up. You remember that? Me and Holly went in our car that night, and I was like, I can't fucking do this. I was like, I want a refund. And that was like the same with the first night of meal prepping too. I was crying in the kitchen because I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It was hard.
it's a lot.
But I remember I was so shy at first too. Like I didn't really want to talk. I didn't want to talk about anything about me. And then you started training us individually for a little bit, for like I want to say like a month or two.
I did.
So we could do breakout like workouts.
Breakthrough workouts.
Breakthrough,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. I think the breakthrough workouts definitely one of the biggest key component when it comes to my training aspects. But I only do it with the people that are absolutely needed. Someone like you.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of people in my rosters right now that really needs it. Positive affirmation. I make them do, talk positively in front of a mirror. And that was hard for them. They don't even know what to say. Because it's how many times when you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I don't like the way I look today. I don't like this. I don't like that. So you're so negative.
Yeah.
So the breakthrough workout was so cool with you because I remember it was the rope.
Oh,
We did
yes.
the rope. We did the
Started
rope.
bawling.
We did the rope. And what I did was I said, I need you to be angry. I need you to take out all your frustrations right here for 1 fucking minute. And you did.
Yeah.
And you were literally crying. The entire.
Granted, I did just take my hair out that day too.
Oh, damn,
So
girl.
I was just
Everything was hitting.
It
It
was-
wasn't the workout. It was the hair.
the hair.
well, granted, listen.
a real
My
problem.
hair was up to my shoulder blades after having it this long. So that, and then we were just
God bless
talking
you.
about everything too.
Yeah. And actually, we were talking about, to be more specific, I think that's when your mindset changed where
It does.
you started this for someone else. You started
I started this for a lot of other people, if we're being honest, to prove people wrong.
Yes.
That I'm like, no, I'm not that person. Like, I'm not going to be this big person my whole life and like all this stuff. I'm like, I'm going to prove everybody wrong that's ever made me feel less of a person because of my weight. And I think it was that workout at that point that I was like, no, fuck them. Like, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to turn heads along the way, great. But this is my journey. This is nobody else's anymore. Like this, I'm claiming this for me.
And I love that we did the mindset training because I think we did it a couple of times actually. It's not just
We did.
once. We did it a couple of times, and then finally, I think the last breakthrough we did, and that was the last time I did it with you. And I didn't have to do that because since that moment forward, you was such a positive, funnier, and you were just an amazing individual inside and out, and you didn't care what people think. You take more pictures. I remember the first time she took pictures in the bathroom, selfie, and I'm like, wait. I had a second look and I'm like, is that Heidi?
You texted me, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was like,
you're like, did you post
is that
this?
you? I was like, what? And she was so confident, and that breakthrough workout was everything.
Yeah.
And I still do it today. I only do it with some people that need it, but I still do it today.
I think sometimes it's not even about the weight loss. I think it's more so about like the confidence you build and like who you become from that.
1000%.
Because I think that's honestly like what I admire most in people is their confidence and their drive and just who they are as a person. Like, I think the weight loss is just like the cherry on top, right? And it's like the driver, but it's like what you gain along the way is the best part of it all. I think like, what would you tell your younger self, like from this moment now, if you could go back and tell your younger self, like what would you tell her?
Ooh.
I feel like honestly, I wouldn't have let myself get as big as I was and just start when I actually wanted to. Because I feel like we all have our mindset as we want to start. We want to be better. We want to better ourselves. Like, oh, I'll start tomorrow. I'll start next week. I'll start after the holidays. And I feel like I got in that pattern for a while. I'm like, I'll start this. I'll start then. But then I just started getting bigger. But I think I would tell myself, like, you can do this. Like, you're not going to be stuck. Because, like, yes, do I still have a way to go? 100%. But I am not who I used to be. And I feel like I would tell myself, like, you can do it. Like, you can lose the weight and, like, maintain the weight as well. Well, not, like, maintain weight loss. There we go. So I feel like I would tell myself that because I feel like a lot of things that held me back was being scared. And that was something we had to work on a ton with the gym.
Fear of failure.
Well, and just going to the gym by myself in period too. Just like,
I remember that.
I hated it.
Can I ask you a question too? So this is something that happened with me. You mentioned fear. I was afraid for the longest time. Like when I first met with Johan and signed up, I remember he started talking. He's like, so this is what my program is like. And I literally looked at him and I went, shut up and take my money before I change my mind. But it was because I was afraid. And then I remember telling you, I was like, I don't want like a 6-pack or any, but what did I have? I had eventually had a 6 and I wanted it. But for me, I was almost afraid that things would go well. Did you ever have that too? Cause then like I wanted to be different because I hated the way that I was, but I'd never been that elevated version of myself before. So I was almost afraid to do it right because I didn't know who that person was either. And so it was like, did you ever have any of that where you were like, I'm unhappy right now, but at least like I know what to do and how to manage what's going on? Because that's like totally uncharted territory. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wish I had that, honestly. I was just terrified in general. Like, I feel like in my mind process, before we signed up and called you and said we are going, like, signing on with you, I was like, in my mind, I'm like, if you don't do this, you're going to regret it and you will be dead. Period. Like, because, like, I'd seen your success and, like, your story as well. Because I think you only had, like, a handful of clients at that time. Because that was when you just barely, like.
It's my first year.
Yeah, started out. And I was like, okay, like, I can do this. But I feel like there was always that negative voice in the back of my head, though, being like, but what if you can't lose the weight? What if, like, you're that anomaly of a person that, like, literally can't lose the weight no matter what you do? And I feel like that fear also came into play. Like, you're going to be stuck like this for forever. But that was just me being so negative for so many years, being like, you can't do that. But I'm like, you know what? Why not give it a try?
And I think that speaks volumes of you as a person. Like, you're like scared as fuck and you have all these like negative things coming at you, but you're still like, no, fuck this. Like, I'm still going to step foot in that gym. I'm going to do this program and I'm going to see what happens. A lot of people let fear take over. And so I hope you, like, hearing yourself speak that, you really like celebrate that in your old self and in you even now, because like you're still going and we're still going to reach like new levels of you
100%.
and that fear has faded a lot.
Yes.
Right. But I think just the fact to go back and look at how scared you really were and send her love, because like here she is now on a podcast still doing the damn thing.
Oh, I agree, because I feel like I need to think about that more, because like I feel like I still have my days too where like I'll look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, I'm still 330 because I'm just having an off day. But then I feel like it's times like what, like you just said, like I need to give me that myself that recognition that like you did this, you got yourself here with all the odds against you, you did it.
Yep.
So
Proud of you.
thank you.
To summarize what Colton was talking about is there's fear of failure. There's actually fear of success.
Yes. I wish
That's
I had that
exact-
fear.
Oh, that was me for sure.
Yeah.
100%. Like
Yeah.
I was afraid that I would get it right because the reason that I was afraid of that was, one, I'd never done it before, so I didn't know what it would be like. And then number two, I was afraid. I was like, what if I'm fixed on the outside, but not on the inside? Like, what if I do this and it still isn't
Good enough.
any better?
Yeah.
Like, and it was more so for me, like my brain. I was like, what if like my brain isn't any better? But then at the time, that didn't make any sense. But then as time went on and I became healthier, wouldn't you know it? Your brain is technically like an organ, right? Became healthier. And I remember like celebrating stuff. I remember being like, wow, like I only had anxiety today for like 15 minutes. I used to have it all day and not for 15 minutes. I'd be like, wow, I had 15 minutes of no
Good
Mm-hmm.
anxiety.
time.
Yeah. Today
Yeah.
I was like, I was only worried about something for 15 minutes. Or for me, it was anxiety. And then I had quit drinking alcohol, which had helped me manage the anxiety. So it was like out of control. And I started seeing him. I remember I'd be like in the gym and he wouldn't know because I didn't want anyone to know, but I'd be like on the verge of a panic attack while we're working out. And I'd be like, dude, like power through it. So I just thought like, what if it's this miserable, but at least I got like big arms but my brain's not any better.
Yeah.
So then over time, when it got better, it was easier to see, to not be afraid of success. That's like a big thing for me. I don't know why. I'm not afraid to fail because I fail all the time at things. So it's pretty normal. For me, it's a success thing. I'm like, well, what if things go well?
Yeah.
I've never done that before.
Well, I've noticed like a lot of us are scared to be seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000%.
That's what I'm saying. The fear of failure, right? Because you don't want to do something because you're afraid that you want to fail. Like you're not going to make it. Fear of success, where a lot of people think, well, what if I do this and then I became famous? What if I do this and then I became seen? What if I do this and then all of a sudden I get all these thousands of followers and now I have to sign contracts or what if I do this job and then my CEO sees that and then I get promoted to a VP or whatever. Like people genuinely have those fear of success. And I was talking about that with one of my client earlier and he's like, you're right. Like there's so many ways, there's so many things that you can think of that you don't want to do. You don't know it, but the reason why you don't want to do that is because, well, what if it gets too big and then I can't handle it? What if it's too much and then I can't
100%.
handle it?
That was exactly what I thought. Because for me, I felt like I had never been seen or paid attention to my entire life by anyone. Like parents, friends, nobody ever, like when I was little, picked me first to be on their team.
Yeah.
Nothing. So I was afraid that things would go well. So it's the same but different, because maybe for you, all you felt was seen and you just wanted to be hidden. Whereas me, all I wanted to do was for someone to just see me for who I was. But then when that opportunity came around, I was like, oh shit.
Well, and I
Like,
think it goes with like, how do we hold that?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that new level of ourselves, like it takes a lot more energy, a lot
More
more time,
expectations.
more
Yes.
expectations, even more judgment.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the reasons why people like lean away from it.
Yeah. And that's very interesting too, because at the end of the day, whether you do good, you do bad, you post something good, you post something bad, people are going to judge you. Period.
Regardless.
Regardless. I post a lot of my content positive. I only do positive content and some funny ones, and I still get shit on. Like 10% of the comments that you see come in, especially on Facebook, oh, this guy is this, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's always negative. It's so funny. At one point, it got to me, and I'm like, should I do this? Like,
But then
should
it's also like their insecurities coming to the surface,
Yes.
but they're also wanting to be seen.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, it's not me.
Yeah, we talked about that because I
not
do a
me.
lot of the content for you, and you were like, "Dude, should we be making this kind of content?" And do you remember what I told you? Remember, I was like, "Yes, absolutely," because there is someone out there
Who needs it?
that needs to hear this, and if there's one person that doesn't like it, but then there's that thing, it's like literally a statistic where if you get one negative comment, it takes at least 5 positive comments to even like kind of cancel out the one negative. So he'd have like tons of comments from people being like, "This is so amazing," and one person would be like,
and I get fixated on that.
Yeah.
I used to. Now I don't. But the first couple of times I get that negative comment, I get someone call me pingling.
That's my favorite.
What? I did not know this.
Dead serious.
Yeah, Han's like, somebody said something that made me feel real shitty, and Des is like, "I love that."
That was
my favorite.
This is the laughing at the trauma.
Yeah, it
This
is.
is where the funniness comes into play.
Legit, like I posted something, and then this dude was like, first of all, his name is Chad. Okay, that's a Chad thing to do. If you're a Chad, sorry, but
real.
it's so funny. And he goes, "Oh, at least Pingling doesn't do legs," and then he did it again on my other page, on my other videos. I'm like, "Oh, Pingling doesn't know how to cook," and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I'm not a. First of all, it's funny that you call me Pingling because I've never heard that before. But second of all, it had nothing to do with the video. Like he was just racist comment for no reason.
For no
It was
reason.
So
Unwarranted.
oh my god, it was so funny. And I screenshot it, sent it to the group, and then Des goes, "That's pretty funny." And I'm like,
That's what I'm calling you from now
low
on.
key racist, I swear.
He's like, "Yeah, I'm feeling a little insecure right now." Just like, "That's great."
Yeah, it's great. It's
So
great.
great.
But yeah, so people, wow, you're gonna get judged regardless.
Oh, 1,000%.
You're gonna get judged regardless. I mean, it's positive, negative. It's always, and that's now. Like even the first episode when we launched with Jess, and Jess was like, "Oh, we only got this views," and I'm like, "I don't really care anymore. Like I just do my content and I move forward."
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
whoever
see-
it's supposed to reach is
Yeah.
gonna-
Well, and it's only the
we'll reach
first
it, yeah.
episode too.
Yeah.
That's the same
Yeah,
thing
I
with
know.
like going to the gym for the first time. Like
Exactly.
you're there. There's a video I saw
Create
of somebody
traction.
like a little kid. He's probably like 10 years old, and he's
Yeah.
doing leg press.
Yeah.
And he does like 10 reps, and he lifts up his shirt. He starts like touching his belly.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody commented and was like, "I wish it worked like that little man."
Yeah, I wish,
You know,
I
it's the
wish.
same thing.
Let's talk about your nutrition. So what were you eating before?
I was eating crap. I was eating garbage, like literally anything and anything. But there would be days in my mind where I would be like, "I'm not going to eat though today."
what was your favorite snack to eat?
What do you mean?
Like I don't know, like hot Cheetos. For
I don't
example.
know. I don't think I really. I just
Double stuff Oreos was mine.
Or what
was
did you
my
like to
kryptonite,
drink?
dude.
What did you like? To drink?
Because we know
you're
you
good.
like to drink your calories.
Listen, all right. I was telling Des this yesterday. I'm like, if somebody gave me the choice to either drink for the rest of my life or eat, like drink like fun drinks,
Yeah.
or like be able to eat, but you can't do both. I was like, I would drink anything, fun drinks, silly drinks. I just love me a good
Silly drinks.
yummy drink. I at my desk at work right now. I know we're going off topic from where you asked me, but I'll have my Yeti full of just normal water. I'll have another cup full of like water with a Crystal Light mix in. I'll have another cup, but it'll be just like Coke Zero. And I'm just typing away, just I'm like,
Okay, don't do that.
I know. After I did that, I regretted my whole life.
It's okay. You
Cut it out.
it's okay. You can call me Pingling.
After I did that, I was like, that was not acceptable. Ooh, trauma.
Everybody get it out on the table. Des is next. Just get it out.
Yeah.
Just get it out right
It's
now.
mine. I don't have any. Just kidding.
But no, I'll always have drinks. So like,
Yeah.
I just,
So did you learn? So when we gave you a meal plan, right?
Yes.
And how did you learn to manage the meal plan?
I was overwhelmed at first.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so overwhelmed with it. I'm like, this is so much food. Like, I'm going to gain 330 more pounds with how I'm eating right now. That literally was my first thought process. I'm like, I'm going to gain so much more weight by eating this meal plan than what I was doing before.
Because it's more.
Oh, it is. You're eating so much throughout the day because your body needs it.
Correct.
And I remember, I think it was the first week back. You had us do our meal plan. It was the first week back, and I dropped 10 pounds. And I asked you, I was like, is your scale broken? I did. I was like, there's no fucking way I lost 10 pounds.
Isn't that crazy? Like same thing with me. I had never eaten that much food in my life, and I was shredding body fat.
Yeah.
Like not like necessarily just losing weight in general, but body fat. And I felt good.
Yeah.
And do you remember when you were eating and then all of a sudden you were like, this is so much food. And then one day you were like, I'm fucking starving.
Well, if you forget something or like you're a little late on like a snack or something, you're like, good God.
I'd be at work,
Help.
and I'd be selling a car or something. I'd go an extra 20 minutes without having a snack and my body'd be like, the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
Or if I like forgot it on my way home from work when I used to work in the office, I would literally stop at a gas station to like see if like they had the stuff I could get. Cause like at the time it was like a Built Bar and like whatnot. So I was like, do they have Built Bars here? I remember going and then I'm like, I can't make it home.
Yeah. And so did you learn how to cook beforehand, or was it? Did you learn how to cook?
I didn't know how to cook anything before.
Let's talk about that for a
My
second.
stepmom taught me how to make salsa when I went down to college, and that was pretty much it.
That's not cooking.
Yeah, I know, but that's all they taught me. So I'm like, okay. And then this program, not gonna lie, I relied heavily on Holly at the beginning to cook everything. I didn't really even know how to do it at all. But then her and her husband went on like a 2-week trip to Florida in 2019, and I was terrified because I'm like, I don't know how to cook. Like, you're joking me. I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, I can't go off this either.
How old are you at that time?
I think I was 23.
23.
I think I was 23. Yeah, I didn't know how to cook, you guys.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying, and the reason why I'm asking
Wife
that
her
question
up.
because I know there's a lot of people out there that don't even know how to cook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like, don't be self-conscious about it because I feel like a lot of people don't know how to cook.
Yeah, it's okay. Yo's been training me for 2 years. And I still am like, how do you cook your rice, bro? And he's like, are you fucking kidding me?
No,
I don't know how. It's so good.
Seriously.
I tell people, I'm like, I can meal prep cook, but I can't cook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same. I can cook you any kind of chicken. Bland chicken.
Rice. Yeah, bland chicken.
Straight out of the freezer.
Yeah.
Stop, bro.
I can cook you bland chicken and just rice. Date night.
That's all you need.
Date night chicken and rice.
Miss me with all the other stuff.
So what did so you learn now you learn how to cook?
Yes.
a
When they went on
lot.
that trip, I was just like, well, you're going to have to do it. I was like, I hope I don't get sick.
And then I think I remember you were talking about the uncooked chicken. You thought it was cooked all the way, but it was actually uncooked.
What?
Yeah, you told me. It was like,
Did you have some medium rare chicken?
Yeah, medium rare. Yeah.
I probably could have.
I remember. No, you were like, I don't know. Like, I'm just eating it though, and I'm like, no, don't eat it if it's if it's still raw.
Listen, I was just stressed those 2 weeks, okay? I didn't know anything, but by the end of the time, I was good.
Yeah, you learn how to cook.
Yeah. And I like can meal prep a lot on my own and stuff where like it's easier.
What's your favorite meal to make now? Because I know Des probably give you some bomb ass food.
Bland chicken and rice?
Yeah, literally, I'm not gonna like.
They like love their simplicity and their routine.
Say I do.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Do you have an air fryer?
Okay, I used to.
You gotta get an air fryer. That has changed my meal prep journey.
So like
Air
my
fryer.
parents right now have one at their house, but like I used to have one at my old apartment when like me, Holly, and our older sister Emily lived with us, and I would cook everything in that bitch. Like I'm like, oh, air fryer, yeah, put it in.
So we do we gotta start like a GoFundMe for you to get an air fryer?
Click the link below.
Like the link below.
Make sure to like and subscribe and click the link below.
Donate to the cause.
Donate.
Yeah.
Please, I need an air fryer and a crock pot.
And maybe a
my
blender,
gosh.
possibly
Yeah.
a blender,
yes,
right?
preferably like a Ninja blender.
Yo, I picked up a Ninja blender. One of the best purchases I've ever
They
made.
change your life.
Oh, amazing.
They're amazing.
But what's cool is that the blender like bottle is the bottle. So like
Yeah.
I take everything, put it in there,
And then
put
you
the,
good
It's
to
a
go.
bottle,
put the cap
right?
on it,
Yeah.
and then it blends it up, and then I
Yeah.
take it off and put a lid on it, and then I just drink it.
Yeah. When I lived with Holly, they had one. Her and her husband did, and then when I live at my dad's right now, they just have like a normal blender. I'm like, what is this?
This is peasants shit.
Yeah.
The fuck is this?
I'm like that. I'm a queen.
Did you pick this up on your dinosaur? Huh?
So compared to when you started, so now you know how to cook.
Yes.
Okay, so nutrition, we fixed that, and you don't have a gym intimidation anymore. So do you go to the gym by yourself now? Like
I can, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is it the apartment gym?
No, I don't. So since I don't live there anymore, I don't have access to that.
Mm-hmm.
That apartment though, gym was out of this world. It was like a mini Vasa.
That's nice.
It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I go to the Vasa in Harriman now.
Yeah, I've come at like 5 a.m, and I freaking saw her, and I was like, that's my girl.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
5 a.m. How
Yeah,
hard
she's
is it
an
for me
early
to get her
bird.
wake up like that, like before? Mm-mm.
No way. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I'm not gonna lie. Before, and this is something that made me a better coach. because I was able to coach you, and by far today, I think you might be the heaviest female I've ever had.
I believe it.
And which was challenging for me because I've never had anyone like that before. But also you taught me a lot of things and how to properly communicate, how to properly do my breakthrough. You were essentially my guinea pig, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of positive ways. But it made me such a better coach today because of who you are and what you brought to the table, even though you're just learning and you did not know how to do anything, not even the workout, not even the meal plan, nothing.
But
right?
I also think like what you're also trying to get at too is that having you take that risk to sign up with him, being that client to him specifically, has paved the groundwork for him to treat other clients.
Oh, 1,000%.
So it's one of those things too. Like you have to realize like you help people directly in your inner circle, but you've helped him change other people's lives indirectly. Like,
yeah. It's definitely a domino effect.
It is. So because what you did, what we've done, and I took that coaching and I did the same thing to all my other females and even male as well.
Yeah.
And it worked tremendously. And I'm like, okay, I know how to do this now. I know where they're at. I know what kind of mental breakdown that I had to go through. And because I already know that from you, I just took that same exact mindset and just kind of, I mean, obviously I coach everyone differently, but I applied the same principle and it clicks like that. And everything, that's when I really go into, okay, it's really starts with the mental. So when I see someone that comes in and has gym intimidation, don't want to do anything, they don't know how to cook, I know exactly what to do. I'm like, okay, next week, me and you one-on-one breakthrough. This is it. You know what I mean? They don't know it, but it happens. And 10 times out of 10, they normally cry during those breakthroughs. And that's normal.
It is.
It made you who you are today. It made me who I am today, right? And made her and Colton's been with us since day one as well.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing to see that.
Yeah.
And it's not like a linear journey either, you know? Like you look at a chart and a graph chart goes, you know, up and then down. It looks like a bunch of mountain peaks and stuff. And I always thought like I would just start and then it would go in a straight line. But like, I can't tell you how many times like I've put on weight and then we cut me and then I had abs and then I put on weight again. I was bummed that the abs were gone. And then I fell off the train for 6 months because life things, you know, and then I put on weight and I had to lose that weight again. Like it just, it's still going up, but it's such like a, can you kind of
still a roller coaster.
Talk about that too? Because I know that you were with Yo and then you weren't and then you were and a little bit, right?
My lows have been with you with 249.
I think so.
Yeah, 249. But I just went through life. Kind of like you said, you go through, even if you're eating your food and stuff, you taught me a ton with like stress, anxiety and everything. You hold on to weight or like even gain it. And I feel like I was going through a rough patch where like I gained those 10 pounds back. Where like with you right now, I started my period, so I didn't want to weigh myself this morning.
Yeah, that's never a good idea.
But before that, I was like teeter on between like 263 and 262. And so I know I can get down to that, but like I feel like people need to understand that like that's not like it's not a bad thing if you do gain a little weight back. Like it's going to happen. You can't just keep going down.
Well, and I think there goes more into it, especially with you, because you've been having stomach issues, a lot of stomach issues, and you have an appointment to get your blood work done as well. Because sometimes like our hormones can just get out of whack and we don't even know until it's
people always underestimate how much their hormones play into their weight retention and loss and things like that too. Like when you get your hormones balanced, like with me, my body changed without food or gym, like hormones in balance, and all of a sudden my body was like, cool, we're digging this. I was sleeping better, like tons of stuff.
Because I have been dealing with like stomach issues, because like I want to say for like a month I didn't feel hungry, like for like anything. And like I like not saying like I would go off my meal plan, but in my mind I just didn't feel hungry for anything. And in my mind I'd be like, okay, I'm like, what if we got you like a cheeseburger or something? But even then I was like, no, like nothing.
That's when you know something's
sometimes
really
you're just not
wrong.
in the mood. Yeah, you're like I've had that before where I'm like you've had these moods where I'm like, I'm starving, and then by the time I make it to the pantry, nothing sounds good, and then my appetite's gone, and then I don't eat all day, but I'm not in any kind of like pain. Like you're just like, you're like,
hungry. I'm just fine. And so that's when I was like, something's going on. Like, because like not even like, not saying my meal plan is not good or anything, but like anybody's a fiend for junk food. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I was like, maybe like something like I need to like mix it up. I need to get some junk food in me. But at that point too, I was like, no. Like, this isn't even sounding good. So, like, I made an appointment. I have one on it for, like, July 20th.
Yeah. So you've been with us for a while. and explain to people, why do you like our program so much, and why are we stuck with you forever?
Literally. Yeah, you bitches are never getting rid of me.
I'm okay with that.
I'm going to be here for lifelong.
Yeah. So what is your favorite about our program, and what are the benefits of hiring a coach, right? Or have a mentor in any aspects of life?
I think
And how does that change your life?
it can change it in a lot of ways, honestly, because I feel like people get this, like, also the stigma about, like, getting a coach or something like, oh, it's going to be $1 million, and then you have to meal prep, and then you have to do all of this. But it's really not. It comes down to priority. Once you cut out, like, going out to eat all the time, doing this, like, okay, I'm not going to lie, I still get all my fun drinks that are 0 sugar. Mind you, I've gone creative with them, with making them. But, like, you save a ton of money. Like, I'm not constantly going out to the bar anymore, and you can afford getting
Oh my
a
gosh,
trainer.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You do
Isn't
save.
that funny how, like, when you first sign up, you're like, dude, I don't have the money for this. But then when you cut out all the shit that you do, all of a sudden there's just the money for the training.
Coming out your ass, yeah. Literally, I was like,
Yeah, you probably
sorry,
save
what?
a lot. Yeah, you
Where?
probably save a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably.
That's how it was for me. I remember I signed up. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can maintain this. And then I started, like, cooking and eating from, because when I first went and bought all my meal prep stuff, I was like, fuck, this is a lot of money. I don't know if I can maintain this. But then that bag of rice lasted me like a month.
Yeah.
And then I was
Yeah.
like, huh, wait a minute.
Well,
Listen-
and I think too, like, you're only buying what is on your meal plan.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not just buying because you're hungry at the store
Yep.
shopping. And so I
Or
feel
you
like
buy
that's,
something and then it goes bad.
yeah,
and you just
because
throw
you're
it
like,
away.
oh, I was feeling it at the store. Then you look at it and you're like, I'm not feeling that anymore. So I feel like that can help a ton too. And so, but I feel like people, back to like the stigma of like, oh, I can't afford that. I'm like, you can, it's priorities.
Yeah.
And
If it's important to you, it's gonna happen.
You'll
An
do it.
investment in yourself.
And I feel like with this company and everything as well, it's not like you guys make it about your clients. It's not just like, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like you guys show up to work and just do a workout with somebody and just call it a day. Like you guys
Like
actually,
superficial, where it's
Yes.
like, we love our clients, but
Yeah.
you don't actually.
yeah,
Like,
and you just like go through the motions. You guys actually do it. You like say, okay, what's going on? You remember things about that's happened in your life or like this or that. Like you actually care about your client on like a personal level and it makes you feel seen.
I can attest to that too with Johan. Like, we'll do a video and he'll be like, so we're going to do a video of, Steve today. Steve's really cool. He's like 30 something. He works here. This is his wife. He has this many kids. Like, blah, 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 blah. One of his kids is doing this in school. That's so cool. Yeah, he just this, that. Like, anytime, I've never heard him not know anything about a single one of his clients. And he works Monday through Friday, 8 to 8, every hour on the hour. So you think about how many clients that is, and he knows everything
Yeah.
about every single one of them.
It's pretty impressive if that I remember. Pingling.
Yeah, because he can't remember to text me or something later, but he knows about his clients.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
But I
I'll have
feel,
to-
But I remember him telling me that too, that it was like, he was like, dude, when it comes to work, I remember him saying like, because we're like, dude, why are you always late? And he's like, keep in mind, I'm never late when it comes to work or my clients, but when it's you guys and my friends, like I'll be half hour late, whatever. He's like, but when it comes to
That's
work,
it.
he's like,
Priorities.
I am fucking on point.
yeah.
Yep.
And that's true. He's never late.
Yep. When I'm at work, I'm on time. But when it's not work, I'll get there when I get
He's on,
there.
he's on the Pingling Malaysian time.
Malaysian time,
Yeah,
baby.
Malaysian time.
But I feel like that's a huge thing when I come into this company is like you feel accepted. And like even when I first got with you, like training, I wasn't scared to work out with you, but I was scared to like, because I'd been with you for what, 2 years? So like, I was kind of scared to get like a new perspective on
Yeah.
things, but not scared of you. But like
Yeah.
that first time we like did our meal prep, I was like, okay, I love her. Like this is awesome. Like this is gonna be good. Like because I was just nervous just in general
Yeah.
because I built
I get
this
that.
journey with you.
But
that
isn't
like
it funny how like good people attract good people?
Yes.
Like when I met Johan and he started getting like, because I remember he started and like some of the clients are kind of rough and some of the people that he knew, other coaches and things were a little rough. And I remember him being like, I don't like this. It's not the environment I want to create. So then he started cycling through people and moving through. And then next thing you know, all the coaches are amazing. How awesome is Nick?
Yeah, he's
He-
okay.
Hated. Nick's all right. He's all right. You know what I'm
We
saying?
love
Like,
Nick.
how many times have you bumped into other clients of his and they're just like amazing?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I trained with Nick, I want to say for like a week because I got COVID back in 2020. So I missed like 4 weeks with you because I died. Not literally, but like I was dead to the world.
We all did.
Yeah. And so then you were having me make them up, but you couldn't fit me in your schedule at the time. So I think I went like 4 days in a row with Nick. And he was awesome. Like even just getting that perspective as well. And so like coming to you too, getting like different perspectives as well, I think has helped me a ton too. Yeah. Not saying like you didn't give me good advice, but like getting other advice, like
having a variety of
and like sites on like different things. I feel like really helped.
Could you, Des, real quick, just kind of chime in on what it's been like to take on a client, like, you know, how Yo said, like, you were the first client that was, you know, about this size and this and that. Can you talk about, like, you as a coach coaching not only another girl, because I think there's probably a level of connection that you guys can reach if you haven't, that you and Yo couldn't reach, because, like,
1,000%.
girls, you just don't understand. Like, you know, I have no idea. I get girls talk to me about stuff all the time, and I'm like, I don't get it. And even just barely when, you know, Des was like, and here's the things that I admire about you. Some of those things would have never crossed my mind because I'm also not a woman. But like with Yo, I'm like, dude, like he's out here grinding and taking care of his family. I relate to that so deep, you know? So can you kind of talk about?
I think for me, why I like working with women is I think there's like two different... There's like why can't I think of it? It's like the masculine and the feminine. And I feel like there's different ways of eating for that. There's different workouts for that. There's a different mindset for that. And I feel like in the society and we're right now, it's really hard for women to come into their feminine because we're used to like grinding, going hard, and we want to be the provider and all these things, or like we're feeling like we have to be the provider. Like we're like, yeah, fuck yeah, like I'm an independent woman,
that's
you
a
know?
huge narrative right now. Do you agree that that's a huge narrative? Like, I feel like lately society has been pushing like basically just like women, you can't just embrace your feminine anymore. You must do this, and
then that is also like fear-based and scarcity. And so like for me, like I want women to be able to embody where they're at right now. And I told you, like, I want you to celebrate yourself because we don't get that. Like we're always so hard on ourselves. We always have these expectations. And if we don't meet them, like then we're going to start shit talking ourselves, and that doesn't do anything. But when we celebrate where we're at, where we've come from, then we can really see ourselves and allow ourselves to be seen. And through that, we see others as well. And so it's just like a gift that keeps on giving, right? Like you see me and then I'm able to see you and we can share that together. And I think like females, we just have this like type of bond because we've been through similar like experiences as well.
And we can get it.
Yeah. And so when you and Holly like walked in, I was like, we gonna be best friends. I already know.
And I already know that from day one. Because I remember I was like, all right, you guys are going to work with Coach Des. I promise you're going to love her.
Yeah.
And because that goes back to our original conversation back in 2020. Actually, because I actually FaceTimed Desi back in 2020. We talked about coaching. That's when she first started coaching. And then I remember calling her and ask her if she wanted to be a part of Unfinished Lifestyle. And that happened to be the day or the week that you were having a hard time. And the thing about Des, one thing that I love about Des is anything happens in her life, it happens for a reason. She believes, you believe in a lot of, I do too, but like the energy, the connection, she's all about that. And when I'm like realizing everything that happens to her, it happens for a reason, I'm like, oh my gosh, we literally just talked about this yesterday and now it just happened. It's like so crazy. So when I made that call.
Yeah, because I had literally been, I was going through a really like hard time in my life, like a breakup. And then I was trying to run a business and 2 businesses. And I was just very overwhelmed. And I was just like, when in my life did I feel the happiest? And it was like when I was health coaching. And so I was just like...
We went out to lunch at the break, you remember? We were talking about that same thing too. You were like, dude, this shit fucking sucks and I want to be a coach again. I remember we were talking about that.
Yeah, and then literally Yo called me and I was like, oh shit, okay. And then I was like, I got to think about this. I was like, this did not just happen.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is.
Things
you ever
happen.
do that? You like manifest something and then when it shows up, you're like, I mean, listen, higher power, I didn't mean like right now.
Yeah.
I just give me a minute.
I think I was just talking out loud.
And then all of a sudden you're not ready.
And you're like, oh wait, I can't do that. I actually didn't want this.
But you don't feel ready, but you are. That's why the
Yeah.
opportunity is there. Because she's like, the happiest was when I was a fitness coach. I'm certain. And then a few days later, it's like, here's an opportunity. And then that's when you second guess, like, well, am I ready? Even though you've already done it before.
Because honestly, at the time I was like, I am not in the shape that I was. And like, I have all this like bullshit happening and I don't know if I'm like worthy of it. And I'm like, I can barely help myself right now. But I just knew like in my heart, like thinking about it, like that made me happier to think of like working with this amazing team and company than it did not.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember like how many lives, like who needs me out there? Like who's
was it one
life
of those
am I gonna
things
change?
where you were like, I'll do it even if I have to do it badly? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I had to let go of a lot of like ego stuff for sure.
And it took you a while to kind of get into that transition.
Yeah.
And when she did, that's when I passed you and Holly on to.
Well, because we had met before that though.
Yeah.
We met when we did that training.
The group training. Yeah.
Was that into November?
Yeah.
No.
It was
October.
October,
It was
yeah.
October because I just got new tattoos and I was sweating off my second skin. I like literally called my tattoo artist. I was like, I just sweat off my second skin. I was like, am I going to be okay? And I got it like 2 days before that. So that's how
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was like
know
one
that.
on my neck right here and I was like sweating it off.
Yeah, that was a good training session.
It
But yeah,
was.
I think everything happens for a reason. And now that you have Coach Des full time, and obviously I'm there too, but it's so cool. Like when you guys come in, I introduced all my clients to her and everyone else. And everybody knew everybody, and that's the environment that I wanted to create, because we're here for the same reason. You know
Well,
what
I remember when I first started with you too, you're like, oh, you'll get to know everybody here. You're like, they'll become like a family. And like, honestly, you do really know everybody. And you're like, I like even know like some of like your clients now, even though I'm not with you, or like, I've seen like some of the same ones of like Nick's as well, like that come in as stuff.
Can you kind of talk about, I know we usually talk about this sometimes, like support system. Because one thing that was weird for me was that like the people around me, they weren't negative, but they weren't exactly like, good for you. It was very like, yeah, whatever, man, that's your life. And I didn't see a lot of support till later from close friends, family, until I had like tons of results. But I had people that I'd barely knew or met like one time. I remember I'd meet somebody one time. Hey, this is my other client, so-and-so. And I'd be okay. And then I'd post like a physique update on my Instagram. First person, fire emoji, you're killing it, bro, and stuff. And I was like, I don't even know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now like you kind of do, and you're friends with those people, and like
You kind of get a bond
there's
with
like
them
an
now.
unspoken, unspoken bond, and that bond I feel like forms super quick compared to like just other people. You know, kind of talk about.
Oh yeah,
that.
I think at the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I was still like in this mindset where I didn't want anybody to know. I was being seen, but I didn't want to be seen for just my body. I wanted to be seen for actually me. I wanted to be the person like everybody picked first and whatnot, but like I didn't want to be like the butt of the joke. I wanted to feel okay taking up space and not feel like embarrassed by it. So with that being said, I barely told anybody about the program when I first started with you. I think I told my family, couple close friends, and then like my sisters, of course. And I was like, I'm just going to do this in quiet for a little bit. I don't want anybody knowing. I don't want anybody putting their 2 cents in, because people mean so well when they give you compliments. Okay. I mean that, but like,
You get that like too many chiefs, not enough Indians, where people try to like tell you, well, I think you should do this or you shouldn't do that.
or
and
like,
then
I
you
think this might be a
second-guess
scam or
it.
something.
And then you question it.
yeah. And then I'm already in this state of mind where like, I'm already so fragile that I'm like, I don't need everybody's opinions in my life.
Yeah.
And like, cause like when I started losing weight, everybody would give me the classic, like, I know they mean so well, but they're like, I never realized you were that big. I was like, well, I was. So, and I just like, I didn't want the negative comments or anything like that. So I kept
You
it
get
more to
like
myself.
a positively backhanded comment
Yeah.
where somebody's like, I don't think you need to lose weight. Like, I like you the way you are. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, you don't get it. I don't.
And I was like,
yeah.
like fucking miss me with that. I was 330. You like me the way I am. Like, okay, be for real. Like I was not healthy in any way of the word. And so I feel like I didn't tell anybody at first, but then once I started losing weight and started getting progress, I started posting pictures on like Facebook and everything. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was before I was with you, but I'd always give them like your information. Cause they're like, who are you with and everything. And like, it started getting crazy at that point because everyone's like, oh my gosh, like you're losing so much weight and all this stuff. I was like,
I think sometimes that can be a little frustrating though, because people don't ask you how you did, because that's what happened to me. Like, we used to talk about this all the time. Like, I'd post a photo of me when I had abs and my arms were big and veiny and stuff, and then the first thing people would say is like, what do you take, bro? As if I'm not the one in the gym, like,
putting in the work,
fucking ass
But
off.
that's like the sad thing is that is society. That is what you see on social media is a lot of fake bodies. Sometimes it's not even, I was thinking of this the other day, like sometimes fit and healthy isn't what you see in the mirror, like online. It's what they're putting in their body is what 100%. Is where the health comes from. But that's not what we see.
There could be somebody that's, you know, one weight and then somebody that's another weight, but because the other person that's maybe a heavier weight is healthier and you guys went on a hike, the heavier person who you wouldn't think so kills it on the hike because they're fit, healthy, happy, and then the other person who eats like shit and drinks so whatever can't even make it up the hill, you know?
And I feel like it's always silly that people just like come out from the dark that I haven't like spoke to in years, like, oh my gosh. I was like, fuck off.
You had a lot of...
I don't want to say that. Yeah, I thank you all for your nice comments. That was rude of me. There's been certain people I'm like, are you joking? Yeah, because I'm like, you wouldn't have said anything if I didn't lose weight to me. Like,
yeah, that's the other thing that's sad is we put a worth on what our body looks like and what we weigh.
There was a girl that I reached out to and I asked her on a date and she left me on red. And then a year later, she saw my Instagram story when I was with Johan and she messaged me and asked if I want to go out. And I was so stoked to be like, no.
Nope. You're like, thanks, but no.
So how does your support system was and versus now? Like how does that transition from who you had before, who you hang out with, and versus now? Is it the same people?
Do you feel like you cut a lot of people out from where you were to now?
Yeah.
I don't think I cut a lot of people out. I drifted from a lot of people. Things happened, and I have like 2 best friends right now, and they're very amazing with how I eat and stuff. Like if they want to go out to eat, they'll always be like, "Where can you eat?" I'm like, normally pretty much anywhere, because like I can look at the menu beforehand and like find something on there that's like within like my food and everything.
Macros,
And so they're like, okay, but they always are very kind. They're like, where do you want to go? And so I appreciate those 2 for doing that because they've always been supportive about it and like always been so happy when I like tell them like small things of like when I deadlifted 25 pounds with you, I like let them know and they're like, oh my gosh, like that's incredible. So like those 2 have always been just like so supportive. And like I have my sisters as well, and like living with my parents right now, like my stepmom too, like she like meals preps a ton as well. And so, and I'm moving in with a friend this next weekend, and I like kind of told her about meal prepping. She's like, oh yeah, perfect, let's do it.
Did you get closer with anybody? Like for instance, when I quit drinking alcohol, there'd be some friends that just were indifferent, didn't do much, but then out of nowhere, some friends that I didn't really think we were that close, like someone would offer me a drink and they would be the one to be like, he doesn't do that. And then all of a sudden I remember being like, I think I need to like get close, like be better friends with you. I had 2 friends like that. Like we were really good friends, like close, played video games, you know, things like that. But then we had a party at one of our friends' houses, and without hesitation, one of my friends was like, just want to let everyone know Colton does not drink. Do not offer him anything. I didn't say anything. I didn't ask. So it's the same thing with you where people reach out to you because I'm sure you were like, I can't eat there. They were like, what can you, you know, so did you find yourself getting closer with anybody because of this?
And I honestly want to say I like that because like a lot of people used to know me as like this huge drinker. Where like now I think some people still have that expectation of me where like I'm not. So like I think it's cool when people are like, oh, they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. Even though like they had this old persona of like who they used to be. Yeah. And so I feel like, so we started in August of 2019. And I just kind of like, I had some really good friends, nothing bad. Like we all just kind of drifted here and there, like stuff happened. And I became close with my 2 best friends that I have right now. And I like bonded over music with one of them, which that music, I'll always say music saves you too, regardless. And then I just bonded with the other one as well. And I felt seen for me.
For
like,
who you are.
Yeah, and I felt like I could take up space finally.
Yeah.
And I feel like this kind of goes on the lines along like when I became friends with them, I was finally able to come out as like with my sexuality, like as pansexual, because like before that I was like, I can't do that. I'm like, I'm big and fat, and then like let's add on top that like and nothing, I'm not ashamed of that or ashamed of like anybody that with their sexuality or anything, but for me, I was like, that is just so much going on for me. I'm like, I'm already embarrassed as I am. I'm like, I don't want somebody to be like, oh, here comes like the fat girl who is like into girls. Like, and I know that sounds horrible, but that was just my perspective. Or if anybody else who was my size and they wanted to come out, I'd be like, you know, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But it took me about like 2 years and like being friends with these 2 girls and everything to be like, oh yeah, like.
I think sometimes too, like I had a friend that was like that too. He is gay, and he didn't tell anybody, and he's like in his mid 30s, and I was the first person that he ever told, and he told me that the reason he wanted to tell me was because he was like nervous. He never told anybody, and so when he told me, I was like, cool, man, like I'll see you tomorrow. And he was like, I found very quickly that people really just don't care. Like literally no one does. And it was like that.
I feel like it's more accepted now than it's ever been.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He told me, I was like, see you tomorrow, man. Like, whatever.
And I like also have a super close best friend. She actually just moved to Portugal. We were talking and she's like, do you like girls? Because we were like having this deep conversation. I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay, that's awesome. Sweet. And I was like, oh. I'm like, that's it?
Yeah, I think like the more you become accepted of yourself and the less judgment you have on yourself, that's how other people are going to perceive you.
I feel like that's one of the huge things with this journey as well. Like it made me be okay to open up about that part of me. Because I used to be terrified of anybody finding that aspect out of me. Because I was like, oh, like this is, like once you say that, you're closing that chapter of your life of like, you've always kind of been like this hidden person and you can't unsay that. Yeah. Like everybody's going to know afterwards. So you just kind of have to jump. And so like, I feel like that's what held me back. Cause I'm like, as soon as I say this out loud, like it's real. Yeah. Not that it wasn't, but like.
It's wild how much weight secrets have.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
There was something like when I started going to therapy, there was something that I'd never told a soul. And I remember I told her, and like 28, 29 years of like feeling this way, it was just gone.
Yeah.
Like, immediately. And I was like, oh, I could just like tell people and they just.
And it's fine. And they don't care.
Actually care.
Yeah.
Because I think that was what I was worried about. It's like, I was talking to some people and I'm like, yeah, dude, nobody cares about me. And they're like, well, that's really like dark and sad. I'm like, it's actually pretty awesome. Like when you realize that no one actually like cares, because I'm worried about what people think about me. Odds are I'm not the only person on the planet that thinks what do other people think about me. Because I remember thinking about that at the gym, like, oh, what if that huge jacked guy over there looks at me and he's like, what's he doing here? And I was like, he's probably thinking the same thing about himself. So why do I care? So there's a whole huge thing of like weight release and relief when you're like, wow, nobody cares about me. That's awesome. Like
literally, I think it is a huge thing like that. Cause like I told my sisters too, like Holly's like, oh, I always knew. I'm like, okay, knock it off.
What is your advice for the people that are listening right now to where they were, if they were in your spot ever? It doesn't have to be physically, it could be mentally, right? Or both. What is your advice for them now? What would you say to those people?
Honestly, do it. Like, as simple as that is, like, actually just do it. Like, don't give yourself any more excuses not to do it. Don't give yourself, like, I'll start it here or there. Like, you could start tomorrow and then in 3 months be in a completely different space instead of being like, oh, I'll start in 3 months and still be in the same space. Yeah. Like, I feel like run with those fears and use them as motivation to push yourself to, like, get over that hurdle. Because, like, once you finally get over that hurdle and, like, you're doing it for a little bit, you're like, oh, this isn't bad. Like, when I first started meal prepping, I was terrified. I remember I was running around my kitchen. I was crying. Me and Holly were, like, running around, like, with our heads cut off, pretty much like chickens, because, like, we didn't know what we were doing. And, like, now it's, like, second nature. Like, oh, it's easy. And I feel like it
turns into one of those things where regressing is more painful than cooking, hitting the gym. Like, you know where you were. And so it's one of those things, like, when you first start, you're like, this is too hard to do this.
Yeah.
And then when you get to that point where you're like, I can't not do this or stop doing this, because if I do, those are the results. And
like, I don't want to go back.
Deal with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 1,000%. And I feel like, what was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought. Hold on. Oh, no, you're fine. It went along with meal prep. I feel like also people get if they want to do this, I can never eat fun food again.
And that's a myth.
Yes. And I feel like a lot of people, I think that might hold them back. They're like, oh, I'm just going to always have to eat like chicken and my bland rice. Like, but it's not true.
Yeah. What's on your meal plan right now?
Literally, okay, it's bland. I don't want to talk about it. No, we don't need to.
But
mine will turn it off from
But it's
everybody.
bland by your preference.
But that's your preference.
Yeah, so mine is very bland. Let me give you options about how my meal plans used to be when I started with you, because right now it literally consists of like rice.
Because it's simple, quick, and
Easy.
right?
I know how to cook it fast. I know how long it can last in the fridge for.
And food is now fuel for you.
Yes, and it's not
pleasure.
Yes.
It's not taste.
Emotional.
It's not emotional.
Well,
food is fuel.
because like, Desi, you're gonna be shocked. When we first started with him, I did some wild ass food choices. Like, we did spaghetti at one point with like pasta, like sauce. We did sandwiches, which didn't settle well with me. We figured that out.
Yeah.
We did street tacos. We did
There were a lot of options. And
Yeah.
I still do that to this day. But I tell clients all the time, once they've been with me for like 6 months or so, and they're like, dude, I just want simple.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, I told you.
Well, and I think too, like at first we're used to having so much freedom in
Yes.
food. And so that's what you have to start where
have to.
someone's starting.
Yeah.
And so if they're used to that freedom, like we're able to give that to them. Like we can make literally any unhealthy food in a healthy way. I think that's the other thing that people don't understand is like we can take, like I can take pizza, hot dogs. Okay, maybe hot dogs is hard, but no, I can still do that. Anyways, you can give me anything and I can make it healthy and I can make it fit in your plan.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm pretty sure like Holly had Nutella on her plan at one point.
Yeah, I
Like
remember.
Nutella.
I gave her Nutella.
Because it's not about the food that you're eating. It's about
Moderation.
The moderation, but also like your numbers.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So you can have Nutella on there as long as you're not exceeding your
macros.
calorie intake, your macros,
Right, and
your
if your
protein,
body like
whatever.
Likes it or
agrees
not.
with it.
And I feel like that also what people need to understand too is a lot of like trial and error, because like there was a lot of times when me and Holly lived together where like her body loved certain food. And we basically had like the same meal plan set up, just like different like macros and everything. But like we pretty much, because we didn't want to buy more than the other because that was just so hectic at that time. But there's things that her body liked that mine didn't.
Yeah.
Or like vice versa. And so I feel like people need to understand, like, you can still eat fun stuff. You can still go out to dinner. You can still go out to the bar with your friends if you want and get drinks. Like, you just have to know how to do it. And like,
that happened with me too. I'd be like bloated, remember? And he'd be like, "You're bloated. I don't know why." And he'd switch one thing on my diet, and then the next day I'd be shredded.
yeah.
Or sometimes my clients are bloated because of stress.
Yeah. That, we had that talk a ton
Oh
because
my
I was
gosh,
just
every
stressed at the
time.
hills 24/7.
And I'm like, and he sends me his pictures. I'm like, hey, dude, did you not sleep last night? And he goes, how did you know? I'm like, I can see it.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people also need to realize that too. Mental health, I didn't realize this, plays a huge part in your body and like weight loss and everything. And
Mental health is kind of physical health. Like your brain, like we talked about, is an organ. Like
Yeah.
mental health is, it's not made up imaginary. Like mental health is physical health. It's just as important as a broken leg or something.
Yeah, and I had no idea with that because like it was when it was like pretty in the middle of the pandemic. I was switching jobs and I'd been at this job for 3 years and I switched to a new job and I hated it. Stayed there for about a month. And I remember talking to Johan about it. I'm like, I hate it. I'm like, I cry every day. I don't want to go to work.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I was like, and I was bloated to the hills then too because I was just holding on to
And
all.
your weight went up.
Yes.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
And I was just stressed because you're like, why is your weight going up? Because I had progress pictures for I think a month prior to, and then to that exact day. And you could tell in my body. And I was like expressing that. And then I got the job that I'm currently at right now that I've been there for 2 years. And I stopped bloating as much. And like, I was like finally able to breathe again.
Yeah, your environment is everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
let's talk about environment. So within our consultation, when we have our new consultation, I talk about, okay, so who do you live with? What's your home environment looks like? And what does your work environment looks like? A lot of people now work from home because of COVID, thanks to COVID. But a lot of people have really bad home environment. What I'm talking about, to be more specific, is when their significant other or their kids or whatever, or siblings are not helping them with their goals. It's not that they don't help you or seemingly they don't support you. It's just that they don't know how. And then you have to deal with it going to work. Now you got to bring your meals, go to work, heat up your food, and then somebody can be like, hey, Des, hey, Heidi, do you guys want to go out to lunch? We're going to go get sushi. And what do you say? Right? And you feel obligated to go because everybody in your room, everybody in the office is going. So now it's like you feel this odd person out. But at the end of the day, I think what it comes down to, whether you have a bad environment at home or at work, if you do have those, if you guys are listening to this right now, if you do have them, you have to understand that people don't, it's not that they don't support you, it's they don't know how, because they don't know how much you're suffering. They don't know how much this is important to you. They don't know that. They just think that you're just this person. Oh, you're better than me. You're better than us because you're eating this, or you're better than us because you would rather go to the gym on a Friday night rather than going to the bar.
Well, and then I think that also adds insecurity to the other person, because then they know that that's what they should be doing.
Yep.
But deep down they don't want to, or deep down they do want to, but surface level they're like,
It's
I can't.
too hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I don't have the money.
Yep.
That's a famous one.
That is a famous
and
one.
time. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't have time to go to the gym. And so with both home environment bad, and then you have a work environment that's horrible, and then you have to deal with the weekends.
Yeah.
The weekend comes.
Weekends are hard, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. And the weekend comes, like this weekend, it's Memorial Weekend. Guess what? I
Parties.
have a barbecue tonight, which I'm on prep for a show, which I'm going to eat what I eat. And then we have a barbecue tomorrow at Jess's dad's house. And then we have another barbecue at her mom's house Monday. Right. So, but guess what? I bring my meals everywhere I go. And that, I don't do that all the time.
He's asked me out to dinner. He's like, bro, let's go to Olive Garden.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. And then we go, and then he brings his food and asks the waiter if they can heat it up. And he'll like ask people to dinner out to a restaurant just to bring a tote full of food.
But you
You're
know,
so
And then
bougie.
watch it.
That's still fun, though.
And then watch you eat it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, Des, can you get this meal right here?
No, he's asked me before. He's like, bro, I think you should
That's
get
I
like
remember
the
you were
chicken
like, can you
parm."
bring in donuts and I can just watch
Yeah.
you eat them? I'm
Just
like,
let me watch you eat it.
hell yeah.
You know, sometimes,
Let me know how it tastes.
sometimes it'd be like that. I'll be late at night and I'll get on like chocolate side of like TikTok of like people like just eating cakes and stuff. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh,
That's a business idea right there for people on prep. Be like, hey, like kind of like OnlyFans. You like sign up for the app, and we'll just show you
Oh
like
my
videos of people like
gosh.
eating
Eating.
food. Yeah.
well, I feel like, because like late at night, I feel like I'll be like on this, I'll be on the app and like I'll see people eating this huge cake. I'm like, oh, I can do that. And then the next morning I'll like wake up, I'm like, why did I think I could eat like 2 whole cakes last night?
And you don't know that you ate that because you were drunk either. And that's so dangerous. I remember when
Being drunk is dangerous.
Oh my gosh. And first of all, you get a shot of, let's say, a vodka is like 45 calories or 90. I can't remember what
I think
exact.
it's 90.
Is it 90 calories? Okay. So that's
I never
one
drink
shot.
vodka, so I don't really know.
Right, but that's clear vodka, right?
Yeah.
That's not like apple. That's not none
Or
of
like
that
all the
Casey's.
fun little
Oh my
thingies in
gosh,
it.
that's probably more. So now you drink calories, and then you're hungry on your way home. What do you do? Where do you go?
Well, that's like,
Wendy's.
it takes away all of your boundaries, and you're
Yeah.
such a lower, like you're in a lower state of vibration that you just don't give a fuck. There's no self.
2 o'clock in the morning. What's
Yep.
open?
You're like, oh,
Pizza.
Yeah, this is
or
perfect.
McDonald's. Anything
Beddoes for
cheap.
me.
Yep.
That was for me is Beddoes. Yeah. So
well,
and then,
fries.
but the funny thing about that though,
Dude, after a night of drinking, you wake up feeling like a piece
Oh, my
of shit.
For like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and hot garbage and just like so big.
Yeah, not even just physically from drinking, like
Mentally.
Dude, I'm like, I remember when I was drinking, I was constantly like, man, I'm fucking miserable. I ain't never doing this
Your
again.
face is all like bloated.
Oh yeah, like your
you.
cheeks,
And
like,
then the next
your
day we go.
eyes are all glassed over.
The next day we go to the pool, and guess what we're doing now at the pool?
Yep.
Drink more. So it's like
you can't
you're
swim
never-
super well. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, you're drowning.
And don't get and don't get me wrong, I still drink today. I mean,
Yeah,
not
same.
right now, but whiskey on the rocks. Like I do shots. Like I do. Sometimes I do seltzer drinks and stuff like that. And
moderation.
Moderation
I
is
think the last
everything.
time I saw you got drunk was when we went to that wedding. You remember that? And then you had to pull over in the car and throw up on the side of the road after Melly's wedding.
oh
You remember, yeah, you remember that?
listen, Kay. So we had the baby in the back seat.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is great. So Jess,
father
this is
of the
great.
year.
Listen to my story. So I was at a client's wedding, and then me and Colton was there. He was filming it, and then me and the other coach at the time that he used to work with us, and then Jess was driving home because she was breastfeeding and she couldn't drink. So I was drinking. And it was me off season, and I was driving home, and I remember the baby was crying in the back seat, and I'm in the back seat. And then Jeff's like, okay, feed him this bottle. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I'm like feeding the bottle. He's just straight crying. I'm like, babe, I need you to pull over right now. So I had the baby in the car seat, and I had one hand, I had to drop the bottle, and then I stepped out of the car and threw up. And that was probably one of the disgusting moment in my life.
I think I
as a
legit
fatherhood.
remember you being like, yeah, man, I don't think I'm going to drink like that anymore. And
Yeah,
I haven't
that
seen
was-
you. You'll get like a glass of some and
Dude.
sip on it all night.
Yeah. So at that moment, I was like, I can't. I think that moment that I realized, okay, I couldn't take care of the baby. I wasn't functioning, and Jess had to stop the car, so I threw up while the baby was crying. I'm like, okay, I can't be that anymore. And you know what I mean? And so at that moment that my fatherhood was like, I'm like, okay, I can't. And there's so many people that can relate to that. And I've seen a lot of parents that are shit faced at parties, and their kids are just sitting in the corner, and then, you know, you just feel bad, right? But I never want to be that parent. You know what I mean? If I do have that moment again, I make sure that he's home, he's safe, someone's watching him. You know, me and mama can do our thing. But if we have the baby,
Responsibly.
yeah, dude, that was not. I mean, even though Jess was responsible, she was driving and she was there, she didn't drink, but I wasn't, and I couldn't. I will never go back to that.
Yeah.
I will never go back
Let's
to that.
do 10-minute warning. We're at like an hour
Yeah.
and a half.
Um,
So let's wrap up with one question.
Yeah.
I just
So
realized.
this
Just chit
is
chatting
what
away.
I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. So we talked about you were giving advices. We talked about the meal plan. We talked about the program. Des, do you have anything?
So what do you feel like has been your biggest win with me being your coach?
Honestly, biggest win, I feel like remembering to like look back at my past self, and like I have come a long way, even though like I have been like at a smaller weight before, like at like that 249, but like I've gained like 12 pounds. And so like, even though I've gained that, I feel like you've helped me realize like, that's okay. Look at all the success you still like have made from that point still. So I feel like that really was a huge success for me, because I feel like I was hard on myself for a while because I had been plateaued for so long that I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I'm failing. Like, I feel like I was failing you. I feel like I was going to fail you, because I'm like, I'm not losing a lot of weight right now. Like, I'm just maintaining it. But like, I feel like that really helped me be like, no, yeah, you may be like plateaued right now, but like, look how far you've come. Like, don't discredit that part.
Yeah, I think sometimes we get stuck in the past or we get stuck in the future. And so it's always, I feel like, celebrating the now. And yeah, where you have came from is that thing that sometimes will shoot you forward.
Oh yeah.
What is your goal for this year?
After I get my doctor's appointment done and like what results I get, I want to push myself. Not that I'm not already pushing myself, but like I want to take the advice from like what they tell me like at the doctor's office and like use that to like push myself even more. So if that makes sense.
Just be like more knowledgeable about your
Yes.
body.
And like see what works and like what's going on with my stomach and whatnot. Cause like I'm doing everything right that I can right now, but like until I can get all that blood work done, I don't know if there's like some like underlying issue going on. So like after I get that and like me and you can have talks like when I get the results and like we can figure out how to keep pushing me forward with that. So I think that's my biggest goal is just to keep pushing myself.
Yeah. And I love that you're still with us today too. And then you're always improving every single year. And you don't just do this for a year or 6 months.
I was at one point.
Yeah, you did. You thought about it.
No, I did. When I took my hair out, I was like, oh, I'll do this until May of 2020 and then I'll put my hair back in. I'll be a little bit skinnier. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's 2023 now. So like, no.
And then we keep going.
Yeah.
And it's unfinished lifestyle because you're never finished with your goals. And you always want to be improving. So, yeah. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I love the fact that you share your stories. Des, our co-host today, and we also have another co-host, which is Colton. So Colton's probably going to be a part of the podcast moving forward because he can ask the questions as well, and he's been a part of our company for such a long time. I mean, sometimes my brain's not working as well. But having Des as a co-host today, and then the next time. You know, the next time I'm going to have someone in, I'm probably going to have your sister, and I'm probably going to have Barry and Jess too. I'm probably going to have your dad to come, talk about him and his knee replacements and
how he kept going.
Still carries.
And still losing weight.
He showed up the second week after his knee replacement.
That's insane.
That was when we filmed him.
Yeah,
insane.
crutches. And showed up, and I'm like, "What is wrong with you?"
Yeah,
but that's your dad.
He is insane. He will not like. He does not like to have people wait on him.
Yeah.
That is a
So
big.
I'm excited to have him there. I'm excited to have Holly as well, and then
Yeah.
I'll probably have Des with Holly too.
Yeah.
And thank you for being on this podcast.
Yeah,
It's
thank you
been
for having
me.
amazing.
Badass.
Wow! Stop.
You're gonna inspire so many.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and look out for our next episode. Later.
Bye.
Make sure to buy me that air fryer.
Link is in the description.
Yeah, the GoFundMe's in the bottom. Like, don't forget that.
Tell me your Venmo. Tell me your Venmo.
Oh yeah, I'll give you guys my Venmo. Link in the bio.
Oh my gosh.
That was good. I'm sorry we went so long.
No.